Let's go straight out to Ben Wortham with the Wall Street Journal out in San Francisco to tell us about this trial that's going on between Google and Oracle. Their CEO's taking the stand today, Ben. What can you tell us about the trial that matters so much that the CEOs have to be there?
Yeah, right. Well, so this is the latest trial of the century in the tech world. Of course, these seem to happen once a year or so. This is a case about Oracle is suing Google over a technology called Java. It's a programming technology that Oracle acquired when it bought Sun Microsystems in 2010. Java is at the heart of Android, or rather it's in Android, and whether it's at the heart of it, as Oracle says, or it's just, little pieces here or there, as Google says, is going to be decided in the courtroom right now. Oracle is asking for $1 billion plus an injunction that would prevent Google, presumably, from selling any more Android devices. And Google is saying, yeah, maybe a little bit of coincidence, a little Java here or there, but, come on, let's get real. This is Oracle just trying to cash in on our success with Android.
So, Ben, this is a licensing agreement argument, basically? They're saying they should have licensed Java from them?
Yeah, at its heart, the way Java works is that it's an open source technology. So what that means is that anyone can use it, but you're supposed to do one of a few things. You can pay and get a license from Sun and now Oracle. The other thing you're supposed to do is whatever changes or adjustments, tweaks you make to it, you're supposed to make those public and give back to what they call it's known as the Java community, so that anyone else can build on whatever changes that you've made. What Oracle alleges is that Google, when it was building Android, basically cut and pasted a fair amount of code from Java into Android. And they've produced a handful of emails from Google employees and Android employees that say, hey, we really need to talk to Sun about getting a license for this Java stuff. Or another one, and then they didn't do it. Another one that says, hey, let's not show any of our Android stuff to Sun employees lest they pick up on some of the similarities. Google's pointing at that as a sign that that Google co-opted and corrupted the Java process, and Oracle is saying this isn't just infringing on Oracle, they're infringing on anyone else in the vast world of computer programmers who use this Java technology. Now Google's rebuttal is that let's get real. Android is a massive piece of software. There's so much stuff in that. And, there's only a tiny little bit that has to do with Java. Plus, Android itself is open source, meaning, again, any company that wants to use Android can use it. If you want to stick Android in your refrigerator, you can stick Android in your refrigerator and not have to pay Google a cent.
Ben, I'll skip that, but I know Julia's itching to ask a question.
Well, I guess the question I have is, why do the CEOs have to testify? This is unusual for this kind of licensing spat. Usually it's at a lower level. Was there some implication that the CEOs were involved in this code?
The CEOs are involved because there's a lot of money at stake here in a courtroom. The CEOs were not involved. I mean, the licensing agreement was not the type of thing that would have been, had it been negotiated. It wouldn't have been negotiated at a CEO to CEO level. But right now, this is Oracle, this is Google trying to, make their case in a courtroom before a judge and before a jury. I mean, both these guys are wearing suits and ties yesterday, and CEOs in Silicon Valley, don't. When was the last time you saw one of the Google guys in a suit and tie, right?
I mean, honestly, never. I think they've just lost some street cred.
Right, exactly. But they're hoping to gain cred with the jury. No, I mean, look, the CEOs are there because it's a trial, because there's potentially $1 billion at stake, maybe more, and that's the sort of thing that does get a CEO's attention, even if a licensing agreement doesn't.
So Ben, quite often these lawsuits end up being settled out of court. To what extent is it seen as a failure that they're actually going to court and not settling?
I think the stakes are too big. And right now, Oracle is saying that Google owes them $1 billion plus, whatever other sort of damages they can get. Oracle is asking for an injunction that would prevent anyone from shipping anything that has Android on it. That would be a huge blow to Google. I mean, Verizon couldn't sell the Droid phones, for instance, if that was to be the case. Google says that, we're talking about maybe a few $1 million. And the gulf between $1 billion and a few million is so large that rather than negotiating these things, there's just no middle ground ground that could be found. Now, as the trial progresses and it becomes clear one way or the other, if one side's winning and someone gains some leverage, I don't think it would be a surprise to see something settled at that point. But right now, on day 2 of a trial, it's too early for one side to have gained any sort of leverage to bridge that gap.
I mean, it seems, Ben, like the reason we're talking about such a big number is actually this is a testament to the size of the Android market, right? Android has done really well. It's got huge market share in a very short amount of time. So in some sense, right, this is the price of being a leader is that if you have problems, you have big problems, no?
Yeah, and that's Google's case. Google's point is that, look, we've been hugely successful with Android, and Oracle and Sun weren't, as hugely successful. They didn't come up with a Java-based phone operating system. We've been hugely successful, and this is just an example of another company looking and saying, wow, how can we get a piece of that? And there's, and if Android hadn't sold any devices and this was just a middling piece of technology somewhere, it is, I think, I don't think we'd be seeing this trial right now. Oracle's case is that, hey, this is our intellectual property, and you guys were infringing on it. You deserve to compensate us.
And yeah, that and Larry Ellison hates to lose anything, basically.
He definitely hates to lose anything.
He
right?
hates to lose anything. That much we know. And we have to leave it there. Ben Worthen of the Wall Street Journal joining us from San Francisco.